Did you know that millions of travelers could be suddenly barred from entering New Zealand in 2026, and many won't even see it coming? In an overnight decision that shocked the immigration world, New Zealand quietly added 7 unexpected countries to its visa blacklist. There were no press releases, no public warnings, just a sudden change that could affect students, tourists, and professionals alike. Imagine planning a long-awaited trip, submitting all your documents perfectly, only to receive a rejection, without explanation. It sounds unbelievable, but this is the reality for thousands of applicants. What makes this even more alarming is how one refusal today can haunt future applications. A single rejection can follow you for years, making it harder to study, work, or even visit. First-time travelers, students from high-risk countries, and even applicants with strong finances are now facing scrutiny like never before. Social media posts, travel history, and family ties in New Zealand, all of these can be silently evaluated to determine your credibility. Even a perfectly prepared application can be flagged if it doesn't fit the new risk patterns. In this video, we'll reveal the 10 critical rules every applicant must know to avoid costly mistakes. From the countries quietly added to the blacklist to how financial proof and online activity are being monitored, we'll break down exactly what you need to do to protect your visa chances. If you're planning to travel, study, or work in New Zealand in 2026, this video could save you months of stress, delays, and heartbreak. Stay with us. The truth is shocking, but knowing it could make all the difference. 10. Higher rejection rates without explanation. Refused without a clear reason. One of the most alarming changes under Canada's 2026 visa update is the sharp rise in visa rejections without detailed explanations. Thousands of applicants are reporting refusals even after submitting what appears to be complete and genuine documentation. In the past, refusal letters often listed clear reasons: insufficient funds, weak travel history, or missing ties to the home country. Now, many applicants receive generic refusal statements that offer little to no guidance on what went wrong. This shift is largely driven by automated risk assessment systems. Canada increasingly relies on data models that analyze patterns such as nationality trends, overstay rates, asylum claims, and document inconsistencies across regions. If an application falls into a high-risk profile, it may be refused even if the individual applicant looks strong on paper. That's what makes this rule so dangerous. You can do everything right and still get rejected. The lack of explanation creates a bigger problem. Applicants don't know how to fix mistakes for future applications. A refusal also becomes part of your permanent immigration record, which can lower your chances next time. Students lose academic years, families miss reunions, and travelers abandon plans, all without understanding why. To reduce risk, it's no longer enough to submit basic documents. Applications must be strategic, consistent, and well explained, especially for applicants from regions facing higher scrutiny. Strong cover letters, clear travel intent, and financial transparency matter more than ever. If you want to avoid silent rejection, don't rush your application. Like this video, subscribe for weekly immigration updates, and comment below if you or someone you know has faced a visa refusal. Your experience could help others stay prepared. 9. Increased scrutiny for certain nationalities. More checks, longer delays. Another major change in Canada's 2026 visa policy is the increased scrutiny applied to applicants from certain nationalities. While Canada officially promotes fairness and non-discrimination, immigration data shows that applications from specific regions are now subjected to extra layers of background checks, longer processing times, and deeper verification. This doesn't always mean automatic rejection, but it does mean higher pressure and slower decisions. The reason behind this shift lies in immigration risk analysis. Canadian authorities regularly study overstay rates, asylum claims, document fraud trends, and previous compliance records by country and region. When a pattern shows higher risk, applicants from those areas are flagged for enhanced screening, even if they apply for simple visitor visas. This process often happens quietly, without public announcements. For applicants, the experience can feel confusing and unfair. Two people with similar profiles may apply at the same time, yet one receives approval quickly while the other waits for months or faces repeated document requests. Interviews, biometric reviews, and background checks are now more common for flagged nationalities, adding emotional and financial stress. What makes this rule especially challenging is the lack of transparency. Applicants are rarely told they are under enhanced scrutiny. They only notice it through delays, repeated requests, or sudden refusals. In 2025, understanding this reality is crucial because nationality alone can now influence how hard your application is examined, regardless of your personal intentions or qualifications. 8. Visitor visas becoming harder than student visas. Tourism under pressure. One of the most surprising developments in Canada's 2026 visa changes is that visitor visas are now facing tougher scrutiny than student visas. Many applicants assume tourism is the easiest pathway, but immigration data suggests the opposite. Short-term visitor visas are increasingly viewed as high risk, especially from countries with rising overstay or asylum claim rates. As a result, genuine tourists are being caught in a system designed to prevent misuse. Canadian authorities have found that a significant number of individuals who entered on visitor visas later overstayed, worked illegally, or claimed asylum. This has pushed officers to examine tourist applications with intense skepticism. Applicants must now prove not only their intent to visit, but also strong reasons to return home, often in more detail than before. Weak travel plans, vague itineraries, or unclear accommodation details can trigger refusals. In contrast, student visas, particularly for recognized institutions, offer clearer structure. Enrollment letters, tuition payments, and study timelines create a defined purpose, making intentions easier to evaluate. That's why some applicants with strong academic offers are approved faster than tourists with decent finances but unclear plans. This shift is confusing for families hoping to visit relatives, attend weddings, or take short holidays. Many are rejected simply because their application fails to convincingly explain why the stay will be temporary. In 2025, visiting Canada is no longer just about having money. It's about presenting a clear, believable story that aligns perfectly with your documents and travel history. 7. Stronger financial proof requirements. Your bank history matters more than balance. In Canada's 2026 visa system, financial proof is no longer judged by how much money you show, but how that money behaves. Immigration officers are now paying close attention to bank history, transaction patterns, and fund sources, making financial checks far stricter than before. Many applicants are shocked to learn that a healthy balance alone is no longer enough to convince officers of genuine intent. The reason for this change is clear. Studies and immigration data show that sudden large deposits are one of the most common red flags in visa fraud cases. As a result, officers now analyze 6 to 12 months of banking activity, looking for consistency, income stability, and realistic spending behavior. If your account shows unusual cash injections, unexplained transfers, or last-minute deposits before applying, it can immediately weaken your case. Applicants who borrow money temporarily, move funds between family accounts, or sell assets without documentation are especially vulnerable. Even legitimate funds can look suspicious if they lack clear explanations and paper trails. This has led to refusals where applicants technically met the financial requirement but failed the credibility test. What makes this rule difficult is that many people don't realize their finances are being evaluated as a story, not a snapshot. Officers want to see that your income, savings, and expenses make sense together over time. In 2025, financial proof isn't about impressing with numbers. It's about proving stability, transparency, and honesty through your banking history. 6. Travel history carries more weight. First-time travelers at a disadvantage. One of the most impactful changes in Canada's 2026 visa decisions is the increased importance of travel history. Immigration officers are now placing greater trust in applicants who have previously traveled abroad and returned on time, especially to countries with strict visa systems. For first-time travelers, this creates a serious disadvantage, even if their finances and documents appear strong. The logic behind this rule is based on compliance data. Authorities have found that applicants with a proven travel record are statistically less likely to overstay or violate visa conditions. As a result, passports filled with entry and exit stamps act as silent proof of reliability. On the other hand, an empty passport can raise doubts, regardless of the applicant's intentions. This shift is especially frustrating for young applicants, students, or professionals who simply never had the opportunity to travel before. Many are refused with reasons like travel history does not support temporary intent, even though their purpose is genuine. Short trips to nearby countries or visa-free destinations can now make a noticeable difference as they demonstrate respect for immigration rules. In 2025, travel history is no longer just a background detail, it's a trust signal. Canada's system increasingly rewards applicants who have demonstrated responsible travel behavior in the past. For those without it, the challenge is proving credibility without the benefit of experience, making the visa process far more demanding than it appears on the surface. 5. Social media and online footprint checks. Your digital life can hurt your visa. One of the least discussed but increasingly powerful factors in Canada's 2026 visa decisions is the review of an applicant's online footprint and social media presence. While Canada does not officially announce routine social media screening for every applicant, immigration trends show that public online activity is now part of credibility assessment, especially when an application raises other concerns. Immigration officers may review public profiles on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, or X to verify consistency. Conflicting information, such as stating tourism in an application while posting about job hunting, relocation plans, or long-term stays, can seriously damage credibility. Even old posts, shared content, or comments can be misinterpreted when viewed without context. This rule exists because global immigration studies show that inconsistencies between declared intent and online behavior are common in fraudulent or non-compliant cases. As a result, digital behavior has become an informal verification tool. Applicants are often unaware this check has happened. They only experience it through sudden refusals or vague credibility concerns. Students posting about working full-time, visitors joking about never coming back, or applicants sharing migration advice groups publicly can unintentionally raise red flags. Even professional profiles that contradict employment claims can weaken an application. In 2025, your visa application doesn't stand alone. It's compared against your digital identity. What you post, like, or publicly share can silently influence how trustworthy your intentions appear, making online consistency more important than ever before.
Family ties in Canada can backfire. Strong connections raise overstay fears. In Canada's 2025 visa assessment process, having family members in Canada is no longer always an advantage. In many cases, strong family ties can actually work against an applicant, especially for visitor visas. Immigration officers increasingly view close relatives in Canada as a potential overstay risk rather than a reason for approval. This shift comes from long-term immigration data showing that a notable number of visitors who overstay or seek asylum initially entered Canada to visit family members. As a result, officers now examine family-linked applications with extra caution. Applicants must clearly prove that their visit is temporary and that they have compelling reasons to return home after their stay. For example, someone visiting siblings, adult children, or extended relatives may face tougher questions than a tourist with no personal connections in Canada. Officers may worry that emotional support, housing assistance, or job opportunities provided by family could encourage the applicant to remain beyond their authorized stay. This suspicion applies even when the applicant has strong finances and a stable job at home. The challenge is that many applicants naturally believe family ties strengthen their case. In 2025, the opposite can be true, unless the application clearly demonstrates strong home country commitments, such as employment contracts, business ownership, dependence, or ongoing education. This rule creates a difficult balance. Family relationships must be acknowledged honestly, but they must also be carefully framed within a story of clear return intent. In Canada's current visa system, family ties are no longer automatically reassuring. They are carefully scrutinized risk factors.
3. Students from high-risk countries face stricter limits, study permits under pressure. In Canada's 2025 visa updates, students from certain countries are now facing stricter scrutiny and selective approvals for study permits. While Canada has traditionally been seen as a welcoming destination for international education, recent trends show that applicants from high-risk regions, identified based on overstay statistics, previous visa violations, or irregular immigration patterns, are being evaluated more carefully than ever. Immigration authorities now examine not only the applicant's academic documents, but also their country's overall compliance history, personal credibility, and intended field of study. Universities and colleges that historically attracted high volumes of international students from these regions may also see increased verification steps, including additional interviews, document authentication, and financial proof checks. The goal, according to official data, is to prevent misuse of study permits as a pathway to unauthorized work or overstay, but the unintended consequence is that genuine students face delays or denials. For applicants, this means that even with a confirmed admission letter, tuition payment receipts, and strong academic records, approvals are no longer guaranteed. Officers may request extensive explanations about your study plan, career goals, and ties to your home country. First-time applicants without prior travel or academic experience abroad are especially vulnerable, as they lack a documented track record of compliance with international visa rules. In 2025, the lesson is clear. Study permits are no longer just about having an acceptance letter. Applicants from flagged countries must present a comprehensive, transparent, and credible case to prove their intentions. Understanding these limitations early is essential to avoid rejection, wasted fees, and missed academic opportunities.
2. Countries quietly added to high-risk list. No warnings, just rejections. One of the most surprising and unsettling aspects of Canada's 2025 visa changes is the quiet addition of new countries to the high-risk list. Unlike public announcements or policy updates, these changes are often implemented silently, leaving applicants completely unaware until their visa is suddenly rejected. In many cases, individuals discover the news only after multiple failed attempts, creating confusion, frustration, and delays. Immigration authorities classify countries as high risk based on factors like overstay rates, previous visa fraud, asylum claims, and security concerns. The new additions for 2025 include nations that were previously considered low risk, which has shocked travelers, students, and families alike. Being on this list doesn't automatically mean denial, but it does trigger enhanced scrutiny, stricter documentation requirements, and longer processing times. Even legitimate applicants may find themselves caught in a cycle of repeated verification requests. This rule has serious implications. A visa application can be rejected even if the applicant has strong finances, clear travel intent, and legitimate academic or business purposes. First-time travelers from these countries face the steepest challenges because they lack previous compliance history to counter the high-risk label. The silent nature of these updates emphasizes the importance of research, preparation, and transparency. Applicants now must double-check not only their own documents, but also the current risk status of their country, as changes can happen overnight without warning.
In 2025, understanding whether your country has been quietly flagged is essential to avoid unexpected rejections and wasted applications.
One rejection can block future applications, the lasting impact of a visa refusal. Perhaps the most critical rule in Canada's 2025 visa framework is the lasting impact of a single visa rejection. In the past, a refusal might have been a temporary setback, but today, even one denial can significantly reduce your chances in future applications. Immigration officers now treat a prior rejection as a strong signal of risk, especially if the reason for refusal is vague or linked to credibility concerns. This rule is grounded in data showing that applicants with a history of prior refusals are more likely to submit applications that officers flag as suspicious. The system records each denial in your immigration history, and automated checks automatically reference this information during subsequent applications. Even if the circumstances that led to the initial refusal no longer apply, such as improved finances, verified documents, or stronger ties to the home country, the recorded refusal can create bias or heighten scrutiny. For students, travelers, and professionals, this can be particularly devastating. A rejected study permit may prevent entry for future academic programs, while a denied visitor visa can delay family visits or business trips for years. The key problem is that officers now expect applicants to demonstrate significant changes or additional proof to overcome the shadow of a past refusal. In 2025, applying to Canada is no longer just about meeting document requirements. It's also about managing your immigration record strategically. Every application carries weight, and mistakes or overlooked details can have repercussions that last far longer than anticipated. Understanding this rule is essential for anyone planning to apply, especially from countries that face higher scrutiny. Canada's 2025 visa updates are changing the rules overnight, from silent high-risk country additions and stricter financial proof to social media checks and long-lasting refusal impacts. Millions of applicants, from students to tourists, now face unexpected hurdles that can delay or even block their plans. Staying informed and preparing strategically is more important than ever to avoid costly mistakes. If this video helped you understand the new rules, hit like, subscribe for more urgent immigration updates, and comment below. Which change worries you the most, and how will you adapt your application strategy to stay safe in 2025?